Hello, everyone. Before we dive in, be sure to drop your thoughts, feelings, and lessons in the comments below. Like the video and subscribe so you never miss stories like this. Let's get into it. I met her because of sweat and clumsy timing. A Monday in Atlanta, 7 a.m., plates clanging at West End Fitness. I racked my bar, turned too fast, and bumped into a woman balancing a water bottle and a jump rope. She laughed, light bright, unbothered, and said, "I'm Maya." I apologized like 3 times. She teased me about my linebacker shoulders. I offered a smoothie in the cafe downstairs. 10 minutes later, we were sharing oats, swapping playlists, and arguing about warm-up sets. I didn't know it then, but that small collision would crack open the rest of my life. I'm Devin, 32, project manager by day, weekend grill master by calling. Black kid who grew up on Cascade Road, turned black man who takes his mother to church on first Sundays. My family is layered like a lasagna. Dad remarried when I was 14, and my stepbrother, Theo, came with that package. We weren't close. He loved flash. I like quiet. Dad owns a small cluster of rental properties around the city. Nothing wild, but enough to keep him busy. I live to stay sane and centered. Meeting Maya felt like a clean, cool breeze after a heavy summer. Our date was belt-line simple. Sunset walk from Pond City Market to Krog Street Market, tacos after. Maya talked with her hands, painted stories in the air. She worked in event design, arranging rooms that made strangers feel like their best selves. She was black and soft-spoken with a smile that cut through noise. She heard me, nodded in the right places, poked fun in others. When she slipped her arm through mine, it felt like a door unlocking. On the ride home, she kissed my cheek at the curb. I stood there grinning like I'd won a quiet lottery. We built a rhythm that tasted like cinnamon mornings. She'd slide over early with a tote bag, yoga pants, silk bonnet, mason jar of green juice. My apartment smelled like coffee and new paint. She added candles with names like Amber Drift. Sundays, we'd do church then farmer's market. Weeknights, she'd critique my playlists, call my two-step disrespectful, and still pull me close in the kitchen. I liked the way she tucked her chin against my chest. I liked the way she asked about my father, my job, my mother's health, like each fact was a pearl worth polishing. The first time we made love, it wasn't dramatic. It was slow, careful, curious, like opening a gift and folding the paper back for later. Her skin warmed under my hands. Her laughter found me in the dark. We learned each other's breathing, lingered when the world tried to rush us. I kept it tender. No need to perform, just be present. After, we lay in that easy silence where you hear the neighbor's faucet and your own heart settling. She traced circles on my shoulder and whispered, "You hold me like I'm safe." I thought, I want to keep that. I introduced her to Dad sooner than expected. He watches everything from behind, reading glasses, quiet judge, generous jury. We met at Busy Bee for fried chicken and sides that ruin restraint. Maya charmed him. She asked about tenants, laughed at his corny jokes, insisted on boxing leftovers for later. Dad noticed the way she reached for my hand under the table. When he hugged her goodbye, he whispered to me, "She listens." He said it like a benediction. Theo wasn't there. He rarely came to family meals unless there were cameras or potential investors to impress. Theo called that night with rare sweetness. Said he was glad I'd found someone. He cracked jokes about legacy girlfriends and asked for Maya's Instagram like a nosy cousin. I brushed it off. He's always been theatrical, designer sneakers, loud dinners, posts that beg for comments. I never envied his spotlight. He texted me a champagne emoji and a heart. I put my phone face down and watched Maya unpack a second toothbrush from my bathroom. The mundane intimacy of it made me want to learn patience as a sport. Some loves deserve time, air, and ordinary days. Our intimacy grew like vines, tender, winding, deliberate. We learned the topography of each other's mornings. She liked soft light. I liked blinds open. She loved a slow kiss before coffee. I loved the way her shoulders melted. We played old-school R&B, swayed barefoot. Sometimes we paused to talk, laugh, then nudge back toward heat. Nothing explicit, just the kind of closeness that quiets the room and rewrites your posture. I started dreaming bigger. I pictured trips, family cookouts, maybe even keys exchanged with jokes about drawer space. Love, when it comes steady, can feel like a new spine. My friend Jamal noticed a shift before anyone. We've been buddies since May's high. He's the both feet on the ground kind. He said I was glowing, and I told him to shut up. He grinned and asked if I'd brought Maya around his wife, Bree. I said soon. Jamal has a disarming way of making you say more than you meant to. He asked about Theo. I said we were cool. Jamal raised an eyebrow, but let it go. He trusts me to see what I need to see. It's a gift when a friend believes you without saying, I told you so. Maya and I started planning a small beach weekend. Tybee Island, easy drive, cheap motel with clean sheets and ocean wind. She pulled Pinterest boards. I pretended I didn't care about thread count. One Friday, I texted her at lunchtime, surprise dinner at my spot, that Jamaican place off Cascade. She sent a string of hard eyes. I stopped at the florist, grabbed sunflowers, and hummed some Anthony Hamilton on the way home. I wanted to feed her curry goat, kiss the corner of her mouth, and say, let's book the room. The night felt like a promise wrapped in foil. I walked into my building, flowers in hand, and heard it. Muffled laughter spilling under my door, a bass note of a man's voice I didn't recognize. I paused, sunflowers hanging like flags of wrong timing. My key turned. My place smelled like sandalwood and something spicier, unfamiliar. From the hallway, I could see the reflection in the black TV screen. Maya's hair loose, her body arching, another man's arm tracing her waist. I didn't burst in. The shock was cold and clarifying. I stepped back into the hall, leaned against the wall, and felt the breath drain out of me. People imagine rage as loud, but sometimes it's clinical. I set the flowers on the stairwell. I texted Maya, running late. Be there in 20. Then I called Jamal. He said my name and stopped talking, like he knew to hold space. Don't go in, he said. Come down. I did. In the parking lot, I watched a cloud shift from white to gold. Jamal pulled up fast. We sat in his car, said nothing, listened to the AC hum. My hand shook. Betrayal feels like your own muscles turning against you, like you're allergic to your own hope. When the apartment finally went quiet, I told Jamal to wait. I walked back upstairs, unlocked my door, and stepped inside. Maya emerged from the bedroom in an oversized tee, hair wrapped sloppily, face brightening like she'd rehearsed it. Baby, she breathed, coming close for a kiss that never landed. Then she saw the sunflowers on the floor, my eyes not playing along. She blinked, recalibrated. Everything okay? I nodded toward the hallway. You tell me. She froze. Something in her gaze flickered from fear to calculation. I'd seen that look before, but not on her face. The man appeared half-dressed, trying to look apologetic and important. He muttered my name wrong. Maya stepped between us, palms open, voice low. She said, this wasn't what it looked like. It was exactly what it looked like. My chest hurt in a deep, dull place. I told the man to leave. He smirked, adjusted his belt, and slipped past. The door click sounded like a verdict. Maya reached for me, voice breaking. It's complicated. I said, make it simple. She cried beautifully, like a scene that expects sympathy. I felt old in that moment, older than my years. I didn't yell. I asked for my keys back. Maya's face hardened, something uncloaked. Are you really doing this? She snapped. She tossed the keys on the counter with a clatter. I gave you my time, she added, like a bill arriving. I stood still. Why him? I asked. She stared past me, lips pressed. This isn't about you, she said finally, and that was the truest thing she said all night. When she left, her perfume clung to the doorframe like a lie that wouldn't evaporate. I locked the deadbolt and slid down the wall into silence. Grief is a rhythm. You think you're done, it comes back in a new time signature. I texted Dad that I'd be scarce. I told my mother I was busy. I went to the gym too early, too late, trying to sweat out what didn't burn. Jamal kept checking in, keeping conversation easy. Sports, the grill, nonsense memes. Then, after a few days, he called and said, listen, I need you to trust me. He told me things he'd been holding back, voice steady. You weren't paranoid. Something's off with Theo, and it's been off for a minute. Jamal and Theo had crossed paths at a rooftop party. Jamal, quietly watchful, Notice Theo whispering with a man who manages one of Dad's properties. The conversation smelled like secrets, transfer, power of attorney, timelines. Jamal played dumb, smiled, took mental notes. He's that friend who never just eats the meal. He clocks the exits. He'd also seen Maya at a separate event, too comfortable with the same property manager, wearing a dress that glowed under blue light and eyes that scanned the room for confirmation. Jamal didn't tell me then. He wanted proof. He started watching discreetly. I didn't want to accuse your family without something solid, Jamal said. So I pulled thread. My stomach nodded as he laid it out. Theo had been trying to move Dad's titles under a shell company, probably planning to get a guardianship if he could prove Dad was slipping. Dad is sharp, but fragile in the afternoons after long mornings. Maya? She was the inside track, the person who could say, Devin's worried about your memory, and nudge Dad toward a lawyer Theo picked. The man in my apartment? A runner. My skin went cold, then hot, then cold again. The ugliest part. Jamal had overheard something darker, accelerated, followed by a low laugh. It wasn't just paper theft. It smelled like danger to Dad's life, a push down a staircase, a tragic accident. Jamal, never dramatic, said the word I couldn't. Harm. I fought the urge to sprint out the door, to confront Theo, to drag truth into daylight. Jamal squeezed my shoulder. We move smart, he said. We loop in Bree's cousin, Keisha. She's a paralegal with a PI side hustle. We document. We protect your dad. We don't give them a hole to climb out of. We started with simple steps. I took Dad to lunch at Mary Mac's and casually mentioned reviewing his estate plan because life be life ing. He agreed, said he wanted things clean, fair, simple. Keisha arranged for a trusted elder law attorney, not the shark Theo used. We set up cameras at Dad's duplex with his consent, doorbell, back alley, kitchen motion detector. Jamal quietly spoke to the property manager's assistant, who hated her boss and loved to talk. Names spilled, timelines matched, and text threads got saved. It felt surreal to hold hands with fear and preparation in the same hour. Maya tried to slither back in with curated remorse. She texted, "We should talk, and you're the best thing that happened to me." I ignored it, then I didn't. I invited her to meet me at a quiet coffee shop, public and calm. She arrived in soft makeup and a sweater that said soft morning. I asked her directly, "Who sent you my way?" She blinked slowly, weighed options, and chose offense. "Wow," she said. "So that's what you think of me." I sipped my Americano and didn't argue. Silence is a mirror. She shifted, glanced at the door. She tried a new angle, pity. Said she'd been confused, said that other guy meant nothing, said she missed the way I laughed, missed my pancakes on Saturday. I kept my face a closed book. Then I asked, "What's your relationship with Theo?" She slipped just a millimeter. "He told me you were lonely." She answered, then stopped, hand to mouth. That was the seam. I stood and said, "Our coffee's done." She grabbed my wrist, whispering, "Don't make me your enemy." I looked at her fingers, the same fingers that traced my jaw in the dark, and felt clean detachment. Keisha hit me with a text that night. Bingo. She traced a set of wire transfers from Theo's LLC to the property manager's brother's account. The memo lines were sloppy. Consulting, expedite. She also found messages about a safety walkthrough at Dad's duplex, scheduled for a day Dad would be alone. We reworked that day. Jamal and I took off work. We set ourselves up across the street in his truck, coffee hot, eyes on the door. The property manager arrived with a clipboard and a smile that didn't move his eyes. Theo arrived late, pretending urgency. The camera recorded everything. Theo's key fumbling, the too friendly pat on Dad's back, the property manager positioning a broken stair rail, just so. Dad, coached to play curious, asked unnecessary questions, and moved slowly. Jamal stepped out at the right moment. Neighborly, friendly, "Oh, hey, Theo." The men startled, then re-smiled. That's the thing about people rehearsing crime. Improv rattles them. We wrapped the visit quickly. The next morning, Keisha delivered a neat package to the elder law attorney. Footage, bank records, printed messages, a timeline. Meanwhile, I called Maya and asked her to meet me at Dad's. Maya walked into Dad's living room, all honey voice and wide concern. Dad played frail for 20 seconds, then stood tall, glasses off, eyes bright. "We're done with games," he said. Her face fell, then rearranged itself into denial. The doorbell rang. Theo entered, smiling too big. He saw her, then me, then the attorney sitting calmly with a folder. He started talking fast. The attorney blinked slowly, slid him copies. Jamal leaned in the doorway, arms folded. Maya reached for Theo's arm. He shook her off. Their alliance cracked under cheap glue and brighter lights. The attorney read aloud the protective steps already filed. A fresh, notarized power of attorney naming me and Aunt Lila. A restraining order request pending against the property manager. Notices to the bank freezing suspicious accounts. And a letter scheduling a court hearing. Theo tried to bark about family business. Dad tilted his head. "Family protects," he said. "You tried to bury me." The room went still, the kind of still that makes you hear the hum of the refrigerator. Maya's eyes darted toward the door. Jamal stepped aside and said, "Go on. Leave with pride if you can find it. But karma isn't a private performance. Sometimes it needs a crowd." Keisha had already turned the evidence over to a detective she trusted, and an officer knocked before Maya could slip into the afternoon. The charges weren't cinematic. They were practical. Attempted fraud, conspiracy, elder abuse statutes triggered by the safety walkthrough scheme. The property manager got picked up at his office, still wearing that fake smile. Theo tried to sermonize. The officer spoke crisp and polite, cuffed him softly, and read him rights. Maya's mascara didn't run. She'd worn waterproof. Even in endings, some people plan optics. After the arrests, I walked outside and let the November air rinse my lungs. Jamal stood beside me, quiet. I leaned into the hood of his truck. He didn't say "I told you so." He said, "Dinner at our place. Breeze making salmon." The normalcy saved me. Later that week, Dad and I sat with the attorney again and tightened the estate plan. Clear beneficiaries, checks, duplicates of keys stored with Aunt Lila, digital backups, the works. We kept the cameras, not from fear, but from wisdom. Family can be love or lesson. Sometimes it's both. Maya texted once before arraignment. "You broke my heart by not believing in us." I stared at the message until it lost its shape. Then I deleted it and blocked her again. I didn't need revenge that burned me, too. I wanted the softer triumphs. Mornings quiet, my mother laughing at church, Dad falling asleep on the couch during a Hawks game. Jamal and I lifted in silence, chalk on our hands, music low. Healing isn't fireworks. It's a well-made breakfast and a late bill finally paid, a window washed, a plant watered on time. It's breathing without tightening. Months later, the court gave words to what we already knew. Theft dressed like kinship is still theft. Harm planned in whispers is still harm. Theo pleaded to reduce charges and lost his place near our table. The property manager took a deal. Maya faced the mirror without me as her audience. Karma wasn't theatrical. It was administrative and relentless. Dad signed fresh leases, donated to a legal aid clinic, and went fishing. I met someone new at the gym, different smile, gentle eyes. We started slow, stayed honest, and let the sunlight in. I lift, I love, I learn. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.